You're listening to There's Power in Teaching, a podcast from PDK International. And today we're excited to share the story of an amazing pre-educator pathway program up in Washington at the Renton Public Schools. Before I introduce our guests, I want to provide a little background into Educators Rising and how we are helping districts with a grow your own solution to the national teacher shortage by providing students opportunities to learn about education professions as part of their experience with both CTE education and training pathways in some districts with extracurricular supports. School districts across the nation are increasingly finding it difficult to hire an adequate number of qualified teachers at the start of each school year. And we know that 60% of teachers end up teaching within 20 miles of their own high school. Your next cadre of teachers is sitting in your high school right now. Educators Rising offers a solution that is based on your community's needs. Our organization got started as the Future Educators of America, first called the Future Teachers of America in the 1930s, and then it became the Future Educators Association, and PDK International took over that organization in 1994. In 2015, we rebranded as Educators Rising after investing money in developing standards and developing into a full-fledged CTSO. We currently have 39 state affiliations and 25,000 student members, the majority of whom are in high school. While there are nuances between states and localities, our fully articulated program provides students today advanced exposure to teaching with preschool and primary populations in your district. Districts use our 5 C's approach to build a strong program that results in well-prepared future educators, whether that's a role as a teacher or within other education-based roles. At the heart of our program is the optional Educators Rising curriculum, which provides everything a teacher needs to start or grow your own program in your school. I'd now like to introduce Carla Smith, who is the Teacher Academy Coordinator for Renton School District 403 in Renton, Washington. And as you'll see, she's brought a whole group of people to talk about their amazing program. Carla, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. And thank you for having us. Like you said, I have brought what I call my dream team with me today. Their voices are very important to this whole process. And so when we were invited to do this, I was delighted that when I reached out to some key players, they said yes. And so we're very excited to be here with you today. But I do want to say one little thing before we really take off, and that is I will use the word pipeline very purposefully and strategically. And I know that a lot of people talk about the pathways, and it is a pathway, and there are multiple ways to join the pathway. But to me, the strength is in the whole visual of the pipeline, because the pipeline has had leaks in it, and we have worked very diligently in the Renton School District to take care of the gush, is what I call it. So getting future educators to a certain point and then finding out that there were leaks in the pipeline that we were completely unaware of. So you will hear me use the word pipeline rather than pathway, but we're all talking about the same thing. I would like to introduce my dream team that's with me today. And I'm going to start with Dr. Eric Hogan, because this whole thing started with him in 2008. So Eric, would you just take a moment to talk a little bit about who you are and how this came about?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us here and providing this space for this webinar. My name is Eric Hogan. I am an education professor. I've been at Central Washington University for 10 years in support of working with the Renton Teacher Academies. But I originally started as a high school CTE teacher, taught it 10 years at Renton High School, where we initiated the first Renton Teacher Academy and taught there for many years. And then actually some of my former students are here, which is amazing. And then Carla Smith took over. So really glad to be here. And I
Thank
should
you.
note I'm also in a support role where I am now still in partnership with Renton and supporting them.
That's awesome.
Yes, and we have our four Teacher Academy teachers with us today. We are a high school with four, I'm sorry, we're a school district with four high schools, and our teacher leaders for Educators Rising, and we call it Teacher Academy in our district, are all on the call today. So I won't necessarily have them go and, each one introduce themselves at this time, but there will be questions that may come up and we'll ask for them to chime in. I'd like to now introduce you to Diana Ramirez, who is representing our pre-service part of the pipeline. Diana, talk about when you graduated from your high school and what you're doing now and how you got there, just briefly.
Thank you, Ms. Carla Smith, for the introduction. Again, my name is Diana. I graduated in 2025 from Renton High School from the Renton School District. I did my 2-year partnership with the college and high school with Central Washington, and then I solidified my major. End of senior year, I am now a triple major at Central Washington, all within education, which is absolutely awesome. So yeah, now I work as a TASA, so I'm still connected with Teacher Academy, and I still get to see lots of students from school districts that I was close to and are graduating this year, and I still get to work with lots of kids.
Diana, would you tell them what a TASA is? That's kind of unique to us, so explain what a TASA does.
A TASA is a Teacher Academy Student Ambassador, so we help out with panels, school visits, just supporting students and mentoring students, answering questions, getting them out to the schools and really get that college experience. That's how I got my really I'm going to Central moment, was when I did my first overnight trip. So just being able to provide that support for other students has been really, really rewarding to me. We hold events for Teacher Academy graduates. We plan events. We work with partnership with the School of Education here at Central Washington for different majors and all of that. We just offer lots of support to lots of education majors and other students who are still deciding whether they want to go into education or not.
Thank you. Okay, so now representing a graduate from the Teacher Academy who is currently working in our district as a paraeducator while going to college, I'd like to introduce you to Manuel Interiano.
Of course, wonderful to be here. My name is Manuel Interiano. I graduated from Hazen High School in 2024. I'm a Teacher Academy graduate. Currently, I'm working for the Renton School District as a substitute paraeducator, which has been amazing. And I'm a second year student at the University of Washington studying English with a minor in education.
And who do you usually substitute for? Who's your teacher that you work most closely with when you are working as a paraeducator?
The school that I am always at is Bryn Mawr Elementary with Mr. Castro. I have been there for the majority of this school year, which has been an awesome experience.
And when did you take the paraeducator exam?
I took the exam in 2024 during my senior year of high school.
In the Teacher Academy class?
Yeah, through Teacher Academy.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. So, hey, I'm Abner. I am, as y'all heard, early service. I graduated from Lindbergh High School back in 2022, and I got to experience all the awesome things about Teacher Academy, including being one of the student ambassadors, just as Tiana's doing. I got to take the paraeducator exam, just like Manuel's been doing. Had an awesome experience at CW, got in and got right back out just so I could come back to Renton. And now having a blast here at Risen Middle School. I'm going to teach 7th grade, which was not what I expected to start out as, but I found out I loved it. I'm receiving all the support I need with it. and I'm having an awesome time teaching math, seventh grade math and science.
And you did that in how many years? How many
I did
years?
that, yeah, in a really short time. Only 3 years is what it took to, go through Central, come right back out and get hired as an early teacher in Renton School District.
Do you happen to remember how many credits you transferred with you? Because I knew you did some college
Mhm.
in the high school, which really shortened the amount of time.
Absolutely.
So can you talk a little bit about your dual credit experience?
Yeah, so part of my dual credit part was all at the high school actually. I never left the high school. I did AP classes and the college and the high school classes. Teacher Academy was one of those that really helped me get that step above, especially at Central. They have a program where they work out the Teacher Academy courses apply for credit where the first classes you would normally take as a student seat of you count for the classes that you can take in high school. So I was about a little bit step ahead of all the other education students, and it really helped me connect because I got a little bit more time to focus on college, focus on reaching out to other people, than having to, stress a little bit more about two extra classes.
Yes. And then our last part of the pipeline is somebody who's been in the classroom for a few more years. And this is Alex Castro Wilson, and he's going to circle it all the way back to Dr. Hogan. So, Alex Castro Wilson, would you tell your story quickly?
Yeah, briefly. Hi, I'm Alex Wilson. I don't want to say my graduation year because it makes me feel really old compared to the others that shared. But I graduated in 2010, and I was one of the original students in the first teacher academy at Renton High School with Dr. Hogan. Dr. Hogan has followed me through my whole educational career, as he was also my professor at Central Washington University when I started my teaching prep program. But a proud graduate of the Renton School District. I'm actually honored that I get to actually teach in the same elementary school that I went to in Renton. So I teach here at Bryn Mawr, and very much in that pipeline of things. As soon as I graduated from high school and teacher academy, I instantly came back to be a paraeducator. And early on in the pipeline, there were quite a few holes in trying to figure out and navigate that journey. And with Ms. Smith and Dr. Hogan's help, I was able to navigate my way to being a paraeducator until doing my program at CW, and was able to graduate and then got hired only 6 weeks into my student teaching experience. So I got to do my student teaching while having my own class. So I currently serve as a special education teacher, but I have previously been a fourth and fifth grade teacher. So I wear a lot of different hats and endorsements just because I love the work and being an avid learner. But I'm glad to see that I'm at the end of the pipeline for 10 years almost in teaching now.
And also something I want to add, and that is every person that you've heard from has been a part of Educators Rising national competitions. We've traveled or chaperoned or led groups, but everyone that's in this dream team right now is deeply appreciative and connected to the opportunities that Educators Rising has provided for us. We are in a state where we don't have an organization here in our state necessarily. We kind of have to make that for ourselves. And we've done that. And we have gone and had amazing experiences with up to 27 students at one time. So that's also an important part of our story. So as you can hear, we take this whole growing our own thing very seriously. The things that I'd like to encourage listeners to think about maybe while you're driving and listening to this, that is, we do our best to meet students where they are. We want to move with them over time. So it's not 2 years of teacher academy, we get you ready for college or in the workplace and bam, you're done, good luck. We hope you come back to us. It's very, very intentional. We value their learning and their contributions. So every opportunity, we try to stress, you matter to us, you matter to the younger kids in this district. What do we need to do to help you want to come back because we desperately need who you are. There's nothing to check at the door. We want you to come back to us. And we value their work in the district, and we do what we can to start paying people early. So we have what I call paid and unpaid internships that we've been able to create when they're still in high school before they become paraeducators. So whatever we can do to help students see themselves in this role is what we want to do.
Carla, I think one of the things that listeners may be interested in, we know how powerful it is when there are paid opportunities for work-based learning. How did you all make that work?
I have worked really hard to apply for grants. So the money so far has always come through because we were able to sort of fill the vision of what we're doing. So at this point, it's been grant related. We've been able to get what we need to pay our students for after school opportunities when working with children to support learning. So we're kind of like a tier 1, tier 2 intervention for specifically reading literacy.
My follow-up question, I guess, is going to be for Abner, Manuel, and Alex. Like what, and Diana as well. Like, what attracted you to become part of the program, to dedicate yourselves to studying education?
Yeah, I can jump in first. First thing to be part of the program is just, curiosity of what it was like to be a teacher. Being a high school student and seeing a class called Teacher Academy, it made me think, oh, what could that be? And so you walk in, you're not too certain about what the class is about. You're not too certain whether or not you actually want to be a teacher. It just sounded like an interesting class. And then you take it and they put you in a classroom of, students under a guided mentor, and you're like, oh my gosh, this feels great. This feels amazing. And then you do it again the next year. And then you find out, hey, there's a college part to this that I can help, support. And then you go do that. And just the nonstop connection that you can feel from this program is what got me interested, got me into teaching, and kept me through teaching all the way until I got right back to where I came from, the Renton School District.
I would love to agree with Abner. I would say it was curiosity that got me here. I remember talking to my high school counselor and I was like, Teacher Academy sounds fun. So then I joined it. And the following year I got I think 8 credits for college in the high school. And then I was dedicated to being part of the Educators Rising. And just the cohort was everything. The mentors were absolutely the most helpful people on earth, from Miss Carla Smith to Miss Vanessa Brute Del Fiero. Like it was awesome. And just like Abner said, just going to college and being like, wow, I have kind of a cushion, I have these scholarships that I worked for in high school, and there's familiar faces at Central. It's not too far, it's not too close. And just like the ambition and knowing that you can work with students and really make a change, when they're most helped in their little young age. And it's very heartwarming, getting to be in those classrooms and really doing those internships and really building those connections with those students that you once were in their shoes before. And that really just kept me going, knowing that I was once a student in their shoes. I didn't speak English. I was kind of struggling in a classroom, and just being able to see those students and knowing that I was able to help them, it really kept me going. And knowing that if I had any question, no matter how simple or silly it was, I can ask anybody, any of my mentors from either Central or the Renton School District, and be like, hey, like, can I get some advice? And just knowing that they're always there to help me was very comforting, even from high school up until my Central years.
For myself, I think a major part of wanting to join Teacher Academy was, like Deanna and Abner has said, curiosity. Education in school has always been a major part of my life that I've enjoyed. My mother instilled that that love of education for myself. And so when a friend of mine told me about the class and she was explaining like what it was about, doing internships, you're in the classroom for the entire school year, not just, a single quarter. I think what really attracted me to the class was the community aspect of it, that everybody there wanted to be there and actively wanted to make a change and a difference in the world of education. And I just found that to be really powerful and really it sort of helped me find my calling to realize that I want to help people, and I think through Teacher Academy it is like, especially in high school when there's so much uncertainty about what do you want to do with your life and your future career, what are you going to study in college. It really offered a lot of support and a great framework for me to look at education as a possibility. And in total, I just feel like it's an amazing community of people that all genuinely care, and it was a great experience that really brought me to where I am today.
In the day, almost 20 years ago, at the first, the Teacher Academy only was established at one of our four high schools, and so Renton High was our sole campus at the time. And so Dr. Hogan actually went to all of the sophomore classes and talked about Teacher Academy and saying this is a new program. And it really launched off with really teachers recommending students, and then he made personal asks to those individuals and invited us into a lunch session where we got to learn more about it. And at that time, I didn't think much of teaching because there's the standard stereotype of it's not a career that makes money. Very far from the truth that it actually is outside of the monetary benefit. Just I think Manuel shared it really well, is the community. So when joining the Teacher Academy, I was in a class of people that I never thought I would be in class with, but it really was a melting pot of different personalities that really were all centered in the one focus that we had an interest in working with kids, in some way, shape, or capacity. And so that community, I still have that community today, almost 20 years later, with friends that are either in the profession or working with kids. I also was thinking about it as the three individuals shared. I was a paraeducator when Diana was a student at Bryn Mawr. And so I've had Diana before. Abner was my student teacher when he was in a high school in Teacher Academy, and he was one of my mentees. And then I get to work with Manuel each day, or not each day, but majority of the time. And so I think that's also just a beautiful part of that pipeline, is getting to see that I was impacted by it, but then also getting to see the future generations of teachers just makes it really exciting.
Derrick Holt is our Teacher Academy teacher leader at Lindbergh High School. He also came from a Renton school, but he kind of came to us a little bit differently. So could he also chime in on this part? Okay.
Absolutely.
Derrick, do you mind sharing real quick?
Yeah, my name is Derrick Holt, and I teach at Lindbergh High School, and I actually went to Lindbergh High School near and around the same time that Alex Castro Wilson went to Renton. And so, as you said before, Renton was the only site that had Teacher Academy, and so Teacher Academy wasn't available at Lindbergh High School, but it is kind of something that I wish I would have. So I went off to college without a plan. Went to a university that didn't have a school of education. I kind of knew that I wanted to teach, but then it really wasn't like an avenue, or kind of a clear thing for me to get there. I didn't have a lot of the benefits that this program provides in terms of that support system, that TASA, all of those types of things didn't really exist for me. So I had to kind of figure out my own ways to navigate that system, which I think we have now found ways to close many of those gaps and loopholes. And now we kind of have more of that streamlined progress, as well as we have kind of the support system of just having those mentor teachers around and available, and kind of working, following up, seeing what things students are interested in, and then helping them pursue those avenues, rather than kind of hoping, as you said right at the very beginning, hoping that the students that are in the seats recognize their passion to become educators on their own, right? So I really do think that having the support system is an invaluable opportunity for our school district to not necessarily be pipes in the ground buried that we're not looking at, but much more of like an aqueduct that is kind of held up by our community, where we can see that nice kind of flowing water that's really kind of giving back to us as well.
One of the things that was shared, and we get this question a lot when folks are starting a program in their districts or in their school. It's like, how many students can I expect are gonna, jump in? And I think what you all did was so smart. So I give credit to Dr. Hogan. Like, you went out and you asked teachers to identify students you thought would be good candidates for working with students. And then the other thing I take away from these stories is this amazing culture that you have. We would call it a community. This idea that you can be teaching in a district and be working alongside the folks that helped you get into the field. That's somewhat unique. I mean, you've been doing this for a while, obviously, if you've been at it. And when it started, and I guess question would be for Eric and Carla, was there a grand vision for how this would be, or did you build it, piece by piece over time?
I could never have imagined how it has expanded the way it has under the leadership of Carla Smith and the administrative team as well at Renton School District with Damian Patnod. Like, kudos and all the teachers that are behind this. So really amazing how this has sort of expanded. I did not have that vision. What I had a vision for was that students would enter my class, we would get them hooked on teaching, and then just reduce any, if at all, the challenges that they face to reach those goals of becoming a teacher or an educator. And that was sort of our singular focus. And I've carried that vision as a high school teacher, now as a university professor, and supporting, just thinking about what are the specific ways that we can enhance their sort of journey and break down barriers and challenges, and just continue. You heard from Abner and others, like really just reinforcing that community and connection along that way.
When I was invited to be a part of this in 2011, I believe, I barely knew what I was saying yes to. And being brutally honest, I knew we had Teacher Academy, and I knew I liked what I saw from afar. I had no idea that it was going to change my life. And it did. And between 2011 and I would say between 2011 and about 2014, I feel like I was transformed to be a better human being because of Teacher Academy and what I learned about what is good teaching and the barriers that people have to fight in order to get the education they deserve sometimes and the opportunities that they deserve. And as I would travel with students to conferences, I was sitting there right there with them, just soaking up every word. And I began to catch a glimmer of what it could be. Nobody was doing what I was imagining at that time, in Washington State anyway. But I just began to catch this fire in my soul for this is how we're going to make a difference in the world. Not how I'm going to make a difference, but how we as educators and as if we're going to use the term grow our own, then for Pete's sake, let's get serious about it. Let's quit talking about it and let's do something with it. And I began to just one little piece at the time, find resources and network and ask 1,000 questions and not take no for an answer. Take, okay, but not yet. But you know what? Okay, if you can't give me that yet, what could you give me to offer to my students? And the best thing that could have ever happened was that when Eric finished his doctorate program and actually became our university partner. So the very person who had the vision in 2008, when I was clueless, became my university partner. And so meanwhile, we've got Alice Castro Wilson graduating from college, and then becoming a colleague. He's no longer one of our students, he's a colleague. And um, then others began to catch the vision, and it's been like wildfire. So we went from little bitty cohort, and by little bitty, I do mean at one point we were down to 4 students in Teacher Academy in the whole district. And this year we ran 156 students, year-long program. And we're pretty sure we're adding more sections next year in 2 of our high schools. We're going to be over 200, I think, which terrifies me and thrills my soul, like all at the same time. I can't even imagine how we're going to do this anymore. But that's kind of a long answer, but I think it's important that listeners who are wondering, it's just one decision at the time, like every single day, making one more choice to bring it down a barrier, to fight systems with kindness. I'm not very good at being spicy, but I'm good at working with others and playing nicely. And I don't know, would anybody else like to weigh in on that? Because you've kind of watched, like Vanessa's watched this thing grow. Before she was a teacher, she watched me doing stuff. Vanessa, is there anything you'd like to add?
I'm just like sitting here like, yes, to do it all, and just the institutional knowledge that is in this Zoom room right now. I think like the fact that we lived the pipeline experience, I think has made the difference for how rich and deep this program has grown. So that's a testament to the hard work that everybody has done before I got involved with the program. But I do also think, like I was hearing, community and curiosity and culture and cohort models and all of these things. And I think that's how we've been able to grow, right? Like kids know that they come into this program and they're going to get that experience. And okay, if it takes learning about teaching, but I really want like that experience. And so I think that's really what has caught fire and has allowed us to grow as big as we are now.
So in addition to Vanessa, who's one of your teacher leaders, I think we have Stacy and Shannon. And as I've learned, Carla, the success of the program really depends a lot on the strength of the teacher leaders. They're often people who really feel comfortable in the role of being a teacher. They want to share what inspires them to, as you say, help others. I'm just wondering what their experience has been like and how they became involved as you've expanded from one school to all of your high schools.
Of course. So I actually graduated from Renton High School also, but I'm too old for when Teacher Academy started. But I was lucky enough to get hooked in at WSU with the Future Teachers of Color. So I was able to find that same community there that we're building. So it was kind of cool to kind of be in that type of program. So I knew what it felt like when I started at doing Teacher Academy. I actually didn't know too much about it at first. I taught a self-contained special ed classroom, and then I was approached by a colleague that said, I think you would be good at this. And I was like, okay, I've been doing this for like 18 years. Let's try something new. And with the help from Carla and Derrick and Vanessa and Eric and Alex, like I've gained so many skills, and I've been growing the program at Hazen. I have one class right now, and we're up to 40 kids in there, and hoping to go full day Teacher Academy next year so that we can have hopefully 4 classes, and then just kind of have a special ed lens on one of those, and then a multilingual lens, and keep growing.
Thank you, Shannon. And then Stacy, you are just brand new to all of this, and you've just been a trooper for everything we've thrown at you. So can you share a little bit?
Hi, I'm Stacy. Yes, this is my first year. I'm at Tally High School. I am the smallest school in high school in the Renton School District. I was talked to my principal, Erica Pollard, last year to see if I was interested in doing this to teach Teacher Academy. And I was like, yes, I can do this. These kids, if they need some type of support to help get them where they want to be in college and in an educational field. Whatever it is, we can do that. So I started this year. There has been a lot thrown at me, but we're doing this. It's great, and the kids are great. I have roughly about 9 kiddos, and I'm hoping to grow it next year with even more. Some of the kids in sophomores and junior years right now want to join, so I'm excited.
And this will be Stacy's first year to go to Educators Rising and experience that in June. So everybody that's on the call is pretty much going to be going with students to compete. And Stacy is just trusting us that it's going to be great. And Stacy, are you bringing 2 or 5?
I have 6.
6. Okay, 6.
Like 6, yes.
Which is pretty good considering you just have 9 or 8 students,
Yeah.
9 students. So yeah,
so
we're very excited to bring her with us. And I believe she'll be a part of the curriculum training this summer as well. So we're super excited about giving her that opportunity.
What I really appreciate you've all spoken about, you're not viewing this pipeline as just, well, there's a program that we have, you graduate, good luck. You're already thinking about the next step in, I think, 2 ways. Not only how do we support you once you get to college, but then there's early career mentorship. I'm wondering if you could speak to how those components to the program kind of came into play.
So I have an advisory board. As a CTE teacher, we need an advisory board for all of our program areas. And I have the largest advisory board because I keep recruiting graduates to come back and serve. So, we have community members and we have other professionals, but about half of my advisory board are Teacher Academy alumni. So I have 60 people that I email and ask to be a part of the advisory board. We have them come back as guest speakers. We have them come back as chaperones if they feel like they are ready to handle that. If they're, not too far out of the program, sometimes they're a little bit hesitant about being a chaperone. But so we look for as many ways as we can to keep them coming back to us and giving back. There's always ways to give back. And we're very, very appreciative of that. So we kind of do that all the way through their college. I also started, I call it a paraeducator support group. So students that were coming straight out of high school, going straight into work as paraeducators, were feeling overwhelmed and would kind of come back and say, I really miss community. I don't know who to ask my questions to anymore. So I started this thing called Coffee with Carla, where I would just buy everybody coffee at Starbucks, and we would just talk about problems of practice and practical things that, and just continuing that friendship with them. I have not been able to do that this year, but it needs to come back. That's really, really important to keep them from becoming discouraged and second guessing their decision to work in education. And then the Renton School District is a part of something that's called the BEST grant, BEST. Abner is getting to experience that. So Abner, would you like to talk a little bit about that mentor relationship through the BEST grant?
Absolutely. So I find it also funny that it's called the BEST grant because it feels like the best grant ever. But
I know we never say all the words, do we? We just say the letters. Yeah.
But yeah, the BEST grant assigns all beginning teachers to a mentor for about 2 years. And they try their darndest to make sure that it is an in-building mentor. So my mentor is actually in my building. If I got a question, I can just walk right downstairs, knock on her door, say, hey, I'm having trouble with, this class. I need some classroom management tips. And so she'll say, here's what you do. And luckily for me, she's also teaching math. And so math is the subject that I'm asking for a little bit more support in. And I'm saying, hey, students aren't getting this concept. I'm not sure what type of answers to expect from students. And she's able to help me out with there. And so it's not just the convenience of having someone in building to talk to, because you always have PLC partners and such. But having a dedicated mentor where you can ask more than just PLC questions, questions like, "Hey, I have to fill out this form. What's the correct procedure for this?" Or maybe there's something going on between nothing happened, but if something were to go on, my mentors explained, "Hey, if you need to talk with someone, let me know. We can figure out how to address this in a professional manner." And being, a young person, never having been in, corporate setting or things like that, this is my first experience doing anything related to professional work like that. So questions like those come up often. I think, oh my gosh, do I need to report something? Do I need to talk to someone about this? Having a mentor in building has been honestly life changing with how I'm targeting my teaching strategies.
Thank you. So one of the things that I'm hoping people are hearing as people are sharing little pieces of their story is we are all about belonging. You belong. You belong in this class. You belong in this profession. You belong in this space. And so whether you are a student in our classroom or one of our teachers, we have professional learning communities, PLC work, and these teachers on this call today are in the PLC that I belong to, and I love them so much. I mean, we genuinely love each other. We're all very different. We're all different ages, different life experiences. I'm the grandma of the group, but oh my goodness, I love these folks so much. And so I think having relationships that matter to us spur us on when the work gets hard. And yeah, I don't know if is there anything anybody else would like to say about the
I'll
way
weigh in
we
just
support?
for
Yeah.
a quick second. I think Dr. John, you mentioned about like sort of there's a drop off often that happens when they go to college, especially that freshman and sophomore year, and they're not in their education major, and they might feel disconnected, and that they don't have that sense of belonging. And so, as university partners, we've really been intentional about how do we build in sort of a framework to help support those students at that freshman, sophomore year. And so we developed a program called TASA. You've heard that before, our Teacher Academy Student Ambassador. And Deanna is a student ambassador. So I was going to kind of kick it over to Deanna. Deanna, as a freshman at Central, how has that helped you sort of stay connected in this work?
Honestly, great question, Dr. Hogan. I feel very connected. Like I said, just having that cushion from the college and high school Central Washington partnership and just coming straight over to Central Washington, seeing familiar faces like some other TASAs that I work with, Don Harry, still being able to see some of my high school teachers during the visits. It's just like very warming to just know that I have that cushion. And because I have that experience in high school, I was able to get a job easier here on campus, which is really, really hard. And so they absolutely like they hooked me up with like a job and I'm able to talk to other teachers. Like Manuel said, I feel very close because we're all working with the same goal, to be an educator. We all have that same heart and passion. And so it's just really nice to just be in a room full of my coworkers and even other graduate students and just some incoming freshmen, some seniors that are already doing their practicum. It's really nice to just be in a room full of educators and just riff off ideas and just care for your passion and just feel vulnerable and just be the educator that you really, really want to be. It's helped me a lot with a lot of the graduate programs. We do a lot of Teacher Academy graduate meetings. So we do like pizza nights, we do scholarship nights, we do kickoffs. So then we get to see returning students that have already graduated from nearby districts or even districts over the west side towards like the Renton School Districts. I get to see lots of students that have done Teacher Academy and I get to stay connected and I get to ask questions. How was your Teacher Academy? what would you like to change about it? Is there something that you would like to see different? I personally think student input is invaluable. I always like to ask, even though I am a student myself, I always like to ask, like, is there anything else you would have wanted in Teacher Academy? And I get to have that mentorship and I get to reach out to my central partners and my school district partners and be like, hey, like this is what we want to change. So it's really nice to just be connected and have that sense of belonging for sure. It just makes your freshman year just so much easier. Just already having that cohort, not having to worry about getting to know people or they work around your schedule. It's something that you're already ambitious in and it's something that you're passionate about. So it's like it's it's honestly the best. I could honestly boast about it for years and years on end, but I have a habit of talking a lot, so I'll cut it off right here. But just know it's been very, very helpful for me from finding a job to still being able to support myself as a lone college student and getting to meet other students that have the same passions as me and always being in touch with multiple mentors like Dr. Hogan and Vanessa and Carla and just still being able to reach out to them and be like, hey, I need help. So it's really nice to really have that support, I would say.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think in short, like as a pipeline, the through line through this is just the engagement that Carla mentioned around the hiring, the opportunities to give back, be involved even in a volunteer role, subbing, there's so much. So just providing those different opportunities for engagement.
Derrick, you're in a unique position because you worked in Carla's district. You now are at the university level and have enabled some of this partnership to happen. If we had listeners who were in your shoes, they're in a school of education, and they didn't have that close connection to a district, what advice would you give them about who to speak to, how to like forge this so that you have this rich foundation of support for students from high school through college and then into working?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it really centers on communication. Carla and I will hopefully, if our proposals get accepted at Educators Rising conference, we'll be talking about our sort of strategic partnership. And that's really been centered around listening to the needs on each of our sort of institutions and really thinking about what is the best for the students and then continually refining, as we said, piece by piece, this sort of support model. So I would say just find who is that person that is doing the work at the high school level or at the district level. Find the, education professor who's passionate about this work or the administrator at the college or the university that will help support it.
Awesome. I want to ask the question about how you know this program is working. I know you have some statistics you've already shared with us. There's over 150 students currently in the Teacher Academy program. I believe the last time I heard you have 84 of the mentor teachers who are supporting students. Just give us a little bit of picture of how the program works in your district. And I will forecast by saying I do remember one of the things you spoke about the last time you joined us in a conversation was the challenge of transportation to make it all work.
Yes. Yes. So as you can imagine, for those listeners that are doing internship matchups, you can imagine the challenge of 150 students, how many adults that takes, right? So we send students in teams of 2 usually, because it's not feasible for us to have 156 mentor teachers, but we have been able in all kinds of creative ways to get 84 teachers in the district to say yes. And so we double up our students to a classroom typically. Also, as we keep growing, we are going to be able to offer multiple times of the day. So some mentors that have said, I'm sorry that it's a great program, but that won't work for us. That's my conference and planning, or that's, this specialist time, and we can't host you at this time. We're going to be able to offer multiple times a day. So those that have told us, no, thank you, we'll be able to go and say, what about now? Like, look at us now. So we have currently 84. My goal is that we will have 94 next year. So we need to find 10 more mentors. Right now, that means that we are sending kids to 12. We need 12 bus routes, basically. so 12 locations every time we do internships. When you think about getting, because no one school is going to take all 40 kids at one time, right? So, for example, Shannon mentioned her class of 40, and so we have to break them up between schools. Transportation is challenging, and I think we drive our transportation department absolutely crazy. And they also see the value in what we're doing. I'm so grateful to, I'm going to call out her name, Rhonda Selmer in transportation, has worked so diligently to try to help us get buses at the right times of day to be there to pick up our students when the bells ring, get them dispersed across the district, get them back on time before the next bell rings for them to get to their next class. And so it continues to be a challenge, and it's not inexpensive, right? But again, because our district has shown they mean it, we really are trying to grow our own. And so Vanessa and I have a dream. Vanessa, can I share our dream, Vanessa? Vanessa and I would like to begin talking about how do we create a job posting specifically for Teacher Academy bus routes, and people who maybe retire from teaching would be very attracted. Even Vanessa said, that's a job I would love. So Vanessa's already planning her retirement strategy. If we can figure out how to actually grow our own bus drivers, get it? And we just, I don't know, that's my next dream though. That's how we do it. We just sort of cast dreams and say, well, what if, like, what would it take? And so I think what it takes is just being a little bit crazy like me, and then sharing ideas and finding out, okay, it's like, well, maybe you can't give us that, but what could you offer? And so I think our next big move is to try to appeal to newly retired teachers and ask them about driving Teacher Academy students during the day to internships. And that's very unconventional. And if any listeners have already thought of that, please contact me because I would love to learn from you on how you did that and how we can grow our own bus drivers for Teacher Academy.
There's so many smiles on the folks on the call today. You truly have, I think you believe in this program. I think you've seen it grow. You mentioned several times it's growing. We're expecting this next year. I guess my final question would be, what about the Educators Rising experience that you've had, either locally as part of your Teacher Academy or externally at being able to participate in our national event, helped you make the decision that this was ultimately the right choice for you? We know when students join CTSOs like Educators Rising, not every student that goes through it will end up going into that career pathway because they decide it's not for them. But you all are so passionate about the program. You're attracting students, you're letting it grow across the district. I'm just wondering what, told you individually, yeah, this was right for me.
I'll jump in really quick if y'all don't mind. The thing that I take away every year from Ed Rising is the awesome speakers that come to Ed Rising, and the breakout rooms that happen are life-changing. There's something there for you at every point of the way, whether you're a high school student going for the first time, you're a high school student going there right before college, you're in college, or even after you're a teacher and you just want to get some more information going on. The amount of knowledge, the knowledge pool that Ed Rising becomes every year is something that I dream to happen into every single year for the rest of my life. And more than that, it's the opportunity to network, the opportunity to make connections with real people, and just the chance to see other students as I'm older now, see other students who are competing where I was, walking down the hallways, walking up to the stage. Just, it's a moment of reflection of, man, I used to do that. I'm still doing that. And man, I just can't say how much I love Ed Rising as a high school student, as a college student, and now as a professional.
Thanks, Abner.
I'd say kind of how Carla talked about before, that sense of belonging. I think it's really special with our group because it would be really easy for us to just kind of do our own thing in our school. But because we do our PLCs together, it's like we didn't even miss a beat. When I was learning how to do everything, everybody showed me how to get my kids registered and like how to get my kids signed up to make sure that I was still able to have kids compete at nationals and go to the conference. And so I think without that community, it would make it much harder to try to get things going at each individual school. And it also gives the kids more connections with us. Like maybe there's a kid in my class that connects better with one of our other teachers because they have something in common. And so it just gives them a bigger kind of like net that's casted out there, people to support them. And then along with like I loved going to the curriculum training. I actually went twice because I was like, I want to go again so I can learn more. And so I think just how, you just catch the passion of that everybody is willing to share their knowledge and pass it forward. And so that's something that I value.
To riff off of what Abner said, I would say that the Educators Rising, it was the networking and it was definitely just the knowledge was busting out of the seams. I am still in contact with people from Nebraska, Texas, Alaska, like future educators that are beyond passionate with what they're doing and they know that this is their calling. And every single year I get a reminder as to why I'm doing what I'm doing. My first year of internships, I worked with a student and he just really touched my heart. And I was like, you're the reason why I'm doing this. And then my following year at my internship, I worked with a kindergartner who didn't speak English. And I was like, you're the reason why I'm doing this. And just 2 weeks ago in class, I met a student who graduated from the Renton School District as well. And he was like, I saw your speech. It was very touching. I loved it. And it was just knowing that people resonate their passion with mine. It's just very heartwarming being able to be in a room full of educators that want to grow and are willing to learn and willing to hear your experience and willing to hear where you're coming from. And I get to like read so many students' experiences and know their struggles and the things that they're better at. And it's just really nice to really connect with all those students and really resonate with all of them. It was also very nice to see all of my teachers at the Ed Rising be very passionate for their students. Not just my teacher from Renton High School, but the Lindbergh teachers and the Hazen teachers. They were very, very passionate with what they were doing for their students. They were up until 9, 10, 11 at night doing rehearsals. They were encouraging you. They were giving you like solid tips. Like they were very passionate with the fact that you were there. They wanted you to be there. They did not make you feel at any moment like you did not belong there. They wanted to keep you pushing. I've seen so many students at the Educators Rising conferences that are breaking down because they're so stressed, and then their teachers are coming up to them and they're like, you've got this. And it's just knowing that you have that support and knowing that you have that passion. It really keeps me going, and I thrive to be a teacher like that. I want to be a teacher. I want to be an educator that students feel comfortable coming up to me and I can help them feel better, and it was just being able to see that the PDK conferences really just solidified my career in education, because I was like, this lines up with all of my morale and my virtues. Like I am very passionate for education. I'm very passionate for students who want to go into education, and just knowing that my story, my personal story of how I got to where I am today is really impactful to a lot of students. I tell students about how I got to where I am today and they're like, oh my gosh, like how did you do that? And then they're like, no, I agree. Like, I resonate. Like, they also have family problems. They've had issues in schools. They graduate with not awesome GPAs. And then they still see that I've made it this far. And it's just giving students that hope and showing them I can do it. You can do it too. It's really heartwarming. And it just multiplies my passion by a million. And just being surrounded by educators at the conferences and students of my age and younger and a little bit older, and they're all driven by the same thing, which is the passion of education. It's a huge community, and I wouldn't even say community is the right word to use. I would say it's culture, it's kindness, it's love, it's passion, it's wanting to teach, it's being there for your students, being there for the mentor teachers that are working with you, it's being there for yourself as an educator. So I would say just being involved with the culture of the PDK conferences, from all the breakout rooms to all the amazing speakers that we've had, to all the workshops that we do, all the late night conferences and all of that. It was nice to know that you have support, and it's nice to know that there's so many people in that same boat as you and that you're being supported by millions of people. Like, there's how many students going to the PDK conferences? A lot. A
Yeah.
lot, a lot. So it's just like knowing that there's just so many people who are in the same boat as you. It's like, okay, like I belong, this is my family, this is my culture, this is my community. So I would
Yeah.
say that's the one thing that stuck out to me for the PDK conferences was just the passion and the mentors and the knowledge. It was just everywhere you look, there was something that you could learn, something that you could build from, something that you can share your idea. And it was very rewarding. I want to say my entire build up into the Educators Rising conferences, it was very rewarding to finally be there and meet other students, other future educators with the same passions as me. So
I think I'll just add on as obviously Educators Rising happened after I graduated, and so I didn't get the opportunity to participate as a person that I probably would have. But I think part of it as a mentor teacher, and as someone who's been through the program, just seeing the engagement and how serious they take these conferences, and really I think as a teacher, we always look for like, where is that bright light, or where is that bright spot for students to shine, and seeing kind of that unlocked potential. And I think that's one thing that I really enjoy about going just as a chaperone, but as a mentor on these conferences and to the national competition, is that you get to see students and the work they've put in, but also how much they've grown, and seeing more of the story that sometimes we don't see on the exterior side of it. And so for me, as a graduate and as a teacher in the profession, I really love the ability of getting to connect with the students and being able to help them understand a little bit more about the profession. It really is a mentorship in that way. And even at the conference, being able to talk about the guest speakers, talk about the keynote, really talk about the connections they're making with other rising students that are there at the competition. Um, it's just a fulfilling experience. I think the you go in as strangers, which I know it sounds very weird to say you're strangers when you're in the same district, but because they're at the four different high schools, they have some interactions, but not a lot. And by the end of it, you have this family that's been built with not just between the students, but with everybody who's participated, with staff and chaperones, and our TASAs and our partnerships, because it just becomes a collective. And so that's the one thing, even though it's usually right after school gets out for teachers, so we're kind of like, oh, it's summer break. But just to see the excitement and really the learning you walk away from Educators Rising at that competition level is just like, it starts my summer on a very good high, because you're walking away back into that work. And it just kind of helps re-energize kind of why we do what we do as teachers. So that's kind of my takeaway from being at the conference and learning for myself, but also getting to learn and grow with the rest of these students as well.
Well, it's very satisfying to know that it means something to all of you who come and participate. And I will say, for those of us that work at PDK and put on that event, it is very fulfilling to see uh, the connections being made, the learning that happens, the celebration of achievement, and to know that, we are helping in a small way folks out in the field who are diligently working towards developing the pipeline in their community. So Carla, and to everyone on the call. Appreciate so much hearing about the incredible work you're doing, the incredible growth you've had, and appreciate you sharing your story. And I'm sure there'll be folks who have questions and may want to connect and ask some details. We'll share your information with them. Any final words, Carla?
Just thank you so much for inviting us. And this is literally my favorite thing to talk about. So if anybody would like to PLC with us, even coming in from wherever you are, we can loop you in and continue to dream together. We dream big, and we'd love to be a part of your community as well. So thank you for having us.